What is going on, Internet? Xiagax here. Today, I would like to talk to you about a couple things that I personally would love to see in Hytale upon early access release, or at least sooner or later, eventually when the game comes out. 5 things, actually. Now, these aren't going to be leaks or confirmations or even promises from the devs. These are just ideas and features that I think would massively improve the game's long-term health and player experience. Hytale's been in development for a long time, and expectations are high, believe it or not. That's even what Hypixel believes. They have high expectations, and they're not quite there yet. But either way, that comes with a lot of discussion of what the game should be. So with this video, it's going to be purely opinion-based, but I think a lot of players will relate to these points. So let's get into it! Okay, so the first thing on my list is actually a deep and meaningful enchanting system. And when I say enchanting, I don't mean like Minecraft where it had simple stat boosts or a few extra effect changes, something like 5 plus damage or 10 plus durability. I'm talking about enchantments that can change the way that you play the game. Just think for a moment, if you had weapons that when you enchant them, they alter attack patterns or trigger special effects based in the environment or timing, and I wouldn't also want them to also be just like straight up boosts. They got to come with some drawbacks too. That way you got to actually think about what you're building. So just think, for example, a sword that does extra damage in cold biomes, but it will drain your stamina faster, or a bow that fires slower, but applies unique status effects. These are the kind of choices that make you think, not just optimize. Enchanting can also be tied to exploration. Rare enchantments can be found only in certain biomes, or you could get boss-specific enchantments. Crafting paths would also encourage experimentation. I think this would actually really encourage replayability and build diversity and give you guys a reason to chase gear beyond just raw numbers. So the next one on my list is a strong anti-cheat, and this one is absolutely crucial. Hytale is going to be designed around multiplayer servers, community created content, and competitive and cooperative play, maybe. I mean, if there's going to be bed wars and other mini games, yeah, I can see it being competitive. Either way, without good anti-cheat, all of that falls apart pretty quickly. If I can actually use, for example, there was the Cycle Frontier. It was a PvP/PvE shooter, and that game didn't last long because it did not have any anti-cheat whatsoever. You want to know how long that game lasted? A year. And then the devs just said, we're done. We don't know how to do this. We don't know how to keep people from cheating. So we're done. Also mostly because people just quit. Nobody wanted to play with cheaters. Either way, cheaters don't just ruin PvP. They destroy economies and they speedrun progression, and not in a good way. And they scare off new players, which honestly nobody wants. That is especially dangerous for a game trying to build trust early. Ideally, Hytale would have server-side cheat detection, tools for server owners to monitor and moderate, and fast responses to exploits. Even if the game isn't hyper-competitive, fairness absolutely 100% matters. A strong anti-cheat system helps protect creators, server owners, and casuals alike. So the next thing that I would actually really love to see would be seasonal progression built directly into the world's biomes. Instead of biomes being static forever, just think for a second if they would actually evolve over time. Seasonal changes would actually change visuals, weather, and lighting. Certain mobs or resources would only appear during specific seasons, and you could even have world events that are tied to the passing of time. This would actually make exploration feel alive, and a forest you visit earlier on might be completely different if you visit it later in the year. Seasonal systems also, in my opinion, encourage players to return without forcing them through artificial grinds or resets. Natural progression. The worlds change whether you're there or not. For a sandbox game, that kind of dynamic environment adds immersion and storytelling without needing constant dev intervention, which personally, I think the devs need all the time in the world to be able to just finish the game. I think another important one would actually be accessible gameplay without losing depth. Hytale really needs to be welcoming to new players. I mean, I would hope so. The game's going to be here in less than a month. But it also needs to be rewarding for veterans when we get further into the game. And that's a hard balance, and I know a lot of games miss it. What I would definitely love to see would be to have strong onboarding and tutorials and clear UI and readable systems. Because believe me, if you can't read the game, you can't figure it out, you just kind of quit. But also, I'd also like to see optional complexity for players who want to dig deeper. The best games are easy to learn, but they're hard to master. Kind of like another board game out there. Wasn't that Othello? Yeah, I think so. Either way, new players should be able to jump in and have fun immediately, while the advanced players still have room to optimize, experiment, and push mechanics to their limits. Depth should be optional, not mandatory. And never hidden behind frustration. Honestly, seriously, just look at Destiny 2. They practically nuked their own tutorial, and as a result, people just pretty much kind of stumble around if they're new players. So you really only have two options. You can either figure it out for yourself, or you better have friends that'll help you out, because otherwise you're on your own. And finally, something else that I would like to see would also be an in-world currency, not just a menu-based token, something that you can actually collect and you can actually save up with. If I can use Minecraft, for example, I know that's going to be the most direct comparison to Hytale here. The closest thing that we had to money was emeralds, and that was a little bit awkward because you could either, you could trade them or you could dig them up. But even then, they were very, very scarce, and honestly, it felt like a chore trying to find emeralds because you either had to find a villager to trade with or you had to go to a mountain biome just to mine them up, where you may have a chance of actually finding some. A good currency system should be earned through natural gameplay, and it can be used for NPC services, trading, and fast travel. It should also support player-driven economies on servers. I think that would be really cool. That way you wouldn't even have to have plugins like MC MMO, for instance. A currency tied to the world actually makes everything feel a lot more immersive, and it encourages interaction, trade, and specialization. Players might become merchants, crafters, or explorers. As long as the game's balance is not tied to pay-to-win mechanic, as long as it's balanced and it's not tied to pay-to-win mechanics, an in-world currency could add depth without forcing grind. Anyhow, guys, those are the 5 things that I would personally love to see come to Hytale. Do you agree or you disagree with any of those? And also, what features would you like to see? I'd actually like to know what you guys are thinking there. So anyhow, if you like this video, be sure to leave a like in the like box, leave a comment if you like, and be sure to subscribe for more Hytale news, discussion, and coverage. Anyhow, with that said, that's all I have right about now, and I will see you in the next one.